Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much. This is your boy PC. I appreciate you for watching today, but I need you to make certain that you're getting on your device right now and like, share, subscribe to the Preacher's Lounge. This is the next edition of the Preacher's Lounge, and I appreciate you for, again, as I said before, thank you for being on, all right? And so if you've missed any, I'm telling you, you need to go back because some of those episodes are phenomenal. I actually did some episodes about my own self personally and all of that, my story, my history, how I became who I became, ready or not, here I come. It's some great ones. I did an interview with my family, my dad and mom, and you want to see how I look like my mama. I'm twinking my eye, but everybody say I look like my dad, but you don't want to miss those episodes. I mean, they're phenomenal, and I think you'll be blessed by just hearing some just behind the scene footage, or just not necessarily behind the scene, but behind the scene as a preacher, because that's what the Preacher's Lounge is for. We're here to talk about the real things from the pulpit to the pillow. Now, shh, don't tell my wife I said that. She really don't like me to say that, but it's really the truth. What happens between the pulpit, when you get out of the pulpit, to the pillow? And so that's what we're here to talk about, and that's what we're here to be real about it on today. So with that being said, let's just jump into right what we want to talk about, and that is, I want to talk about a question. Why do ministries fail? Why? I mean, let's be honest. As men and women of the gospel, we don't always get it right. We don't. Men and women of gospel, we fail because we don't deal with certain things and don't deal with certain issues, right? So I want to just jump in. That's the whole point. Listen. Let me tell you the truth. This is the truth. The 30 to 45 minutes, an hour that you use to minister before God's people, preaching and teaching or whatever it is, that's this much of your life. That's this much of the day. What about the rest of the day that you have to deal with? Those are the moments that we got to deal with, because that's when ministries fail. It's really not during, it's not on the pulpit. All of y'all are awesome preachers and teachers and ministers of the gospel. Every one of you are great in your own right. But we fail when we don't deal with the things outside the pulpit and outside the ministry, right? So we want to talk about that, because every one of us have tests, right? Tests are things that prove to us that we have retained the knowledge, that we have retained the lesson. And I read this one time, and it's so phenomenal. It said this, that education is a gift, but learning is a responsibility. Man, blew my mind. It's so true. We're not missing content. You get educated all the time, but it's your responsibility to make certain that you learn what you've been taught, or learn from the mistakes, or learn from people that have already done it before, or messed up before. One of the worst things I heard a family member of mine say, and I won't divulge who that is, but one of the worst things I heard that family member of mine say, they said, because I was telling them, I said, you don't want to fall in the same ditch that I fell into, so I want to teach you. I want to share with you. And that person told me, they responded and said, well, maybe I need to fall in the same ditch. That was the craziest thing for me to hear. Why would you want to fall in the same ditch that I fell into? Because guess what? Your experience in falling in that ditch may be totally different than the next person. I may have just bruised an ankle or bruised a shin or something like that. But if you falling, you may break a bone. You never know, because experiences are always different. So all I'm trying to tell you is that life is full of tests. They're full of tests. And so you want to make certain that you are ready and that you are willing, taking the responsibility so that you don't fail. Because I'm telling you, every ministry is going to be tested. Every one of you you're going to be tested. And so the question is, are you taking responsibility? So how do I deal with ministries that have fallen? Or what can I do to keep my ministry from failing? Number one, a ministry fails because they don't take the time out, just what you're doing right now. Personal growth. You have to make certain You have to consistently fill your body, fill your ministry, fill your spirit and your soul with work, with lessons, with things that are going to help you grow. You got to always learn. You ought to always be helping your mind and tweaking things that you do. Right? Ministries fail because we're not willing to grow. Ministries fail because you're not willing to shift. Listen, the Bible tells us, I think Paul told Timothy, right? I think it was his second letter or something like that. And he told Timothy, listen, I want you to preach. But in your preaching, you got to make certain that it's in season and it's out of season. That you're going to reprove, that you're going to rebuke, you're going to do all these things. He said, listen, you got to make certain that your ministry is relevant when it's good and when it's bad. How is it going to remain relevant? The only way it remains relevant by you staying in touch. It only remains relevant when you are growing and you are feeding yourself with what's happening. I don't personally like the news. I don't watch the news every day. I can't watch it every day. It's just me. Now, you can do what you do. But I can't do it because it's always something bad. It's always something depressing. Always something, that's just my opinion, right? But I cannot go through life without knowing what's happening. I cannot go through life as a successful pastor or a successful preacher or a successful man or woman of God without knowing what's going on. I need to know what's going on so that I can deal with the issues. The only way we're going to relate to the people that we're ministering to is we got to know what they're going through. We got to know what's happening in the world, right? I mean, it would be foolish for me to get up and say, well, I saw Michael Jackson last week. Now, come on. Michael Jackson been gone for several years. Okay? That just means you are out of touch. You are out of touch with the time, right? So stay in touch. There has to be some spiritual but also personal growth within you. And then those of us, and I'm going to say this, and I know it may sound wild, it may sound really out of case, but listen, I've been preaching for over 25 years, okay? So I'm going to be real with you. Some of us just do this job because it is a job. And we really don't have a relationship with God. Why ministries fail? You got to make sure that your relationship with God is intact. And when I say relationship with God, I'm talking about a real relationship with God. I am so tired of men and women of God calling themselves preachers and calling themselves prophets, calling themselves all of this, but they do not live a life of integrity. I mean, they got girlfriends on the sides and you got a wife at home. You gotta be real. If you're gonna preach this, then if you're gonna teach this, you gotta live this. You need to live this life for real. Having a true relationship with God. And a true and real relationship with God means that not only am I studying and preparing for the message, but I'm studying and preparing for my life, for my own spirit. If you're dealing with issues of low self-esteem, find scriptures that are going to help build you up, that are going to help grow you, that are going to help teach you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, right? You got to learn to continue to have a relationship with God to grow yourself so that you can be successful. I've seen so many ministries fail because they're not real with themselves, because they don't have true relationship with God. Now, are we going to make mistakes? Absolutely. No one, no human is supernatural. Not one of you. Every one of us are going to make mistakes. But the question is how we respond to it. What do we do when that mistake is in front of you? What do you do when it's right there? How are you going to deal with it? Are you going to just let it linger? Are you going to just let it just go through? Or are you going to deal with that issue? Some ministers fail because we did not deal with who we are. We not deal with ourselves. I mean, I've seen so many good friends of mine who are powerful preachers. I mean, all over the country. I know some who are powerful preachers. But when it comes to a life of integrity and a lifestyle outside of the home, oh my God. It's crazy. I mean, they'll come preach the house down. But then I'll see them after church and they'll do other things that I won't say, but they're not pleasing to God. I don't know about you, but I prefer if no one ever responds to a message that I share. If nobody jump up and howl and shout, hey man, go brother, if nobody ever gets up and responds like that positively to me, I want to be able to go to rest and rest at night and know that I did what I was supposed to do, but also I lived the life that I was preaching about. Ministries fail, number one, because no growth. Number two, because we don't really have a real relationship with God. Number three, ministries fail because some of us just don't work our ministry gifts. Not working your ministry gifts. I mean, there are many reasons why we don't work our ministry gifts. There are many reasons, I'm telling you, from we don't know what it is. We don't know how to work those ministry gifts. I mean, we can deal with a lot of that kind of stuff. But you got to know and you got to learn and ask God what those ministry gifts are. And you need to be working those ministry gifts. Whether it's because you don't know it or don't want to, you got to work those ministry gifts. You got to. I mean, I remember we had a wonderful service not too many weeks ago. We had a wonderful service. And I know one of the ministry gifts that I have is a prophetic gift, right? Or the word of knowledge in many cases. Well, this particular Sunday, I had to realize that God was trying to shift my ministry from preaching a prepared message to word of knowledge or prophetic. I had to be willing to shift and be willing to do that. When I did that, there were so many testimonies that were shared with me that said, Pastor Coleman, PC, man, I needed that because it confirmed this that I was dealing with, this that I was going through today. Now, why is that important? That's important because those persons know they can trust you. They can trust the God in you. And when people can't trust your ministry, when people can't trust you, they're not coming. Ministries fail when they don't trust you because they're not showing up. They're not going to come. They're going to have all sorts of reasons. And not only will they not show up, but you know they're going to tell other folks. Because one of the best marketing tools, while we can get on, I mean, y'all on YouTube right now. And we can be on YouTube and say it's wonderful. We can have commercials going on all day long. Talk about the Preacher's Lounge all day long. But guess what? The best form of marketing is still word of mouth. And one thing I know is people talk. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Come on, man. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. When you ain't saying nothing right, when you done messed up, you going to be ready to, girl, I got this tea on PC. I'm telling you. Right? Ministries fail when they can't trust us. And so you got to make certain that you are willing to shift and work the ministry gifts that God has given you. Not only that, I want to give you another one, right? Give you another way that ministries tend to fail. And that is the lack of sacrifice. Man, PC, man, you getting kind of deep. Well, hey, it is what it is. It's just like now. I'll be honest with you. I had no clue, no idea. I did not believe that God would call me to be not just a preacher, but a pastor. Okay, let's back up. I'm a husband, a father, and a grandfather. Let's start there, right? And then I'm a preacher, a pastor. Then I'm a city council member. Then I work in the denomination on the jurisdictional level, national level. Then I have other side jobs and other businesses. And watch this. Here I am doing a podcast. I'm doing all this. Never in a million dreams would I think that in 1 week I would have all of these things going on. But guess what? Sacrifice is what makes ministry succeed. I got to be willing to sacrifice. And I have to be willing to make, not just willing to sacrifice, but I need to make sure, this is important, this is important, this is important. I'm going to drop it right here like it's hot. You got to make certain that your support team is supporting you and that they are in this with you. That they're not just here, but they're willing to sacrifice with you. I tell you, even now, I'm so grateful for my wife. I'm so grateful for my family and support staff and team because they are pushing me. They're pushing me. They won't allow me to mess up. They're going to make certain that the lighting is right and that I look good on the podcast, right? They're going to make certain that when I come and step behind that pulpit, that I'm prepared. My wife does because she wants to make sure I'm healthy, that I'm looking good and feeling good, right? Your support tab, your support. Many people, ministries fail because we don't sacrifice. Now, you can't be the only one sacrificing. There has to be someone connected to you that are willing to sacrifice and get in this thing with you. That's important. Ministries fail because we think, and this is the other point, we think we're in this alone. You're not alone. And that's having a small mindset. That's really what I want to get to. Having small mindsets, having small visions and small dreams when you never want to expand anything. Listen, ministry is going to fail every time because seasons shift. They come and they go. You got to be willing to expand and stretch yourself, right? Watch this. Failed accountability and the lack of consistent giving causes ministry to fail. You can't do that, y'all. God has called you to be the best you can be. But if you're going to succeed in life, succeed in ministry, know that it comes with sacrifice. Know that you got to grow personally. You got to grow. You got to put in the time. Put in the work. You got to sacrifice. Do that. But you can't but you can't allow your vision and your dreams to remain small. You can't do that. Ministries fail because we're not working on our ministry gifts. We're not willing because we're not willing to stretch and to sacrifice. We're not willing to be different, do more, be more. I don't know about you, but I don't want my ministry to fail. I want to be the best that God has given me. As a matter of fact, he told me that he'll do exceeding abundantly above all that I can ask or even think. But watch this. This is the part that we tend to miss. It says, according to the power that worketh in us. According to the power that works in you, he'll do exceeding abundantly. What is power? Simple definition. Ability to change. So if you're willing to change, when God has given you the ability, I know your ministry will succeed. Listen, we are here and I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Preacher's Lounge. I want you to make certain that you are getting on your devices right now, hitting the like button, but also making certain that you subscribe. And I don't want you to just subscribe for yourself. Don't just allow this word to just be hidden in your home, right? I want you to subscribe, but I also want you to share this with your neighbor, your family, your friend, your coworker, and y'all know how I said, even share with their enemy, because God has great things in store for you here at the Preacher's Lounge. Listen, until we meet again, peace is my prayer and shalom is my declaration. God bless you. Peace.